Hello everyone and welcome. In this third episode of connecting my energy meter to the Magic Mirror, I will be installing MySQL and I will use that to log all my energy data, and I will create some nice statistics and show you how you can use these statistics for other things as well. So welcome and hope you enjoy. MySQL is running. We have created a database and tables. So now we can start coding in Python to actually log some data. I will start with importing the library PyMySQL, and I will also start by creating an object for the connection to the database. In this example, I've just used magic as login, password, and also as the database name. Next, we go to the main, and we want to add a logging data function. This will also be a threaded function, and it will be executed every 10 seconds. And the reason for that is because I want to continuously store the data in case of something happen, something is restarted or something else. So I want to have continuously updating the data. So let's have a look at the function itself for logging the data. Here we have the log data function. And first I'm setting some variables to have some information about when the data is logged and timing and date and so on, that I also want to put into my log entries into the database. The next part here is all about, we'll uncomment it. This part is all about calculating how much energy has been consumed during the current hour, and then I'm updating it into the MySQL database. And in a simple way, if there is no entry or no line for the current hour, I will create and insert a new line into the database. And if I already have a database line for the current hour, I will just update the database. And you can see the different statements here to update and to insert the values into the database. And as I get more data that I want to log, I just add it to these lines here. You can also see that I comment out the actual execution and commitment of the code here, and that the reason for this is that I'm running in the live database now, so I don't want to overwrite anything in my actual data. And then I'm also keeping track of the current hour and the last hour, so I can see when it's a new hour and it's time to create a new line in the database. So that's in this part. The next part here is where I actually create the statistics. And there's fewer simple examples here where I create a forecast for the month, for the day, and for the year. And the last thing I do is that I reinitialize the thread, and in this case it's every 10 seconds. So keep updating the log data here. We also want to show this data somewhere. So I will move up to my Flask web server and to the root page. And here I already have the energy meter values. And I will just also add the forecast for year, month, and day to this page, so I can show it on the Magic Mirror. To be able to make the forecast for a full year, I'm using historical data from 2020, 2021. I didn't want to include 2022 since I made so many changes to my energy consumption during that year, so I will not include that one. I also consider doing this automatically, but I want to have an average over several years to make it more accurate and to avoid certain months that are higher than other years. So I'm calculating the average for each month. Where I live, it's colder in the winter and it's consuming a lot more energy, so that's why I have higher values in those months. And to be able to make an accurate forecast, I need to consider that in the calculation. So taking these values and then added them into an array. So when I'm calculating, I'm using these values to approximate how much each month will have based on the current consumption rate or the last 12 months consumption rate. So I'm starting the Flask web server in my demo environment, and it's up and running soon.
there. You can see it's on port 8082. Let's go to the browser and do a refresh for 8082. I forgot the most important thing of all. So let's move back and go into the HTML file. Naturally, we need some data to show as well. So let's, and then try to start it again. There we go. And now we have some data. You can see that I'm showing the forecast for the day, for the month, and for the year. I want to be able to access my energy data from other tools as well, for example Excel. So in order to do that, I first want to install an ODBC driver for MySQL. You can find it on this page here. I'll put the link in the description. So you can download it for free and you can use it for free. So I have already installed this driver. I configured the MySQL ODBC driver here. I have the IP address of my Magic Mirror and the port. And then I have the user and the login and the database I want to access. And this is why it's important to do the different steps early in this video to make sure that I can actually log in from another PC or from another IP address to my SQL database. So if we test it, it's working good. And let's see how it can be used from Excel. Go to data, get data, and use my ODBC source. It's the Magic Mirror. Press OK. In the table, I called energy. And here you can see it's fully populated, so this is my live database. And in this case, I will just load all the data into the Excel sheet. And here you can see the data. So if we just start to filter something here, 23, month 1, day 3, it's today. You can see that every hour I'm creating a new line. I'm logging the energy by hour here and logging the absolute value of the energy meter. I'm logging the outside temperature, and I'm logging some other stuff that I will show you in later videos as well. So this is the base for the calculations, and naturally you can do any form of calculation and charts and so on, and do much more analysis here in Excel if you want, or if you need in the future.